What up? What up? We're going to be recapping UFC 286, Usman versus Edwards 3. We're finally arrived at the main card. We've already gone over the prelims and the early prelims on previous videos. Feel free to check those out if you're interested. But so we do here on the Beefy Boys Breakdown. We go over every fight on every card every week, and we've arrived at the main card, my friend.
Yes, sir. I'm pumped for it, man. Super, super pumped for it, actually. All these fights were super important in their divisions. Minus, you could argue, Barberena and Nelson. Now, that's just a fight for the fans. But once again, I'm not mad at that fight. You know what I mean? Even if it lacks implication, was guaranteed to be a fun fight stylistically. Both guys are going to go for it. Both very different. But yeah, man, let's dive into this first one because I got to talk about the scoring. Got to talk about it.
For sure. The scoring, just the overall framing of this fight was very interesting, too. A very, much like a crossroads moment for both of these guys, right?
Well, yeah, I think a crossroads moment, but I also think, too, that this was kind of like Dolidze's chance to break through Vettori. You're right, crossroads in that sense, of course, right? But I also thought that it was kind of like testing like the star of Dolidze, like can he like sell himself here on this main card, like kind of putting him through that marketing level test as well.
The marketing part of it too, but also, just like this is the first time Dolidze was getting to play with the big dogs. And this is the first time where Vettori's really had to fight down. Like I feel like the UFC's done, I don't know if it's fair to say done him a lot of favors, but he's been in some very big matches. Like, I mean, before this fight, it was Whitaker, it was Costa, it was Adesanya. Hell, even to a lesser extent, Kevin Holland. Because when he fought Kevin Holland was like on top of the world.
Yes.
So like that one hasn't like aged very well. But that was a big time fight. Yeah, that fight night main event, I'm pretty sure.
Vettori Holland, yeah. And it was just Vettori just working him too. So like it looked good for Vettori then. But like you're saying, as it's aged, it's like, has it aged that good?
That aged pretty poorly. But regardless, and then Dolidze, before this fight, his biggest fight was Hermanson, and before that, it was the Phil Haas and Kyle Dawkinses of the world. So, I mean, like I said, is Vettori about to head down? Is Dolidze about to head up? This fight answered a lot of questions, and much like, honestly, this fight was middleweight Gaethje Fiziev, as far as like Dolidze was Fiziev. And Vettori was Gaethje as far as like having a seat at the table and offering the ladder down to one of these young lions.
Yeah, like old guard that's had like title attempts versus like the guy that's on a crazy win streak that's riding his way up on the lightning, essentially.
For sure. And man, I went back and forth in my head, both as a bettor and as a fan. Just kind of previewing this one, thinking like in my own head how, oh shit, did I?
Uh-oh.
Hold on. I know what happened. It's honestly kind of gross. A piece of spit landed like perfectly on
the camera. Damn.
Like it's the smallest target ever. Sorry, everybody. That's disgusting. But what I'm getting at here is that going into this one, I flip-flopped so many times. My knee-jerk reaction was like, oh, you're giving me plus 210 on Dolidze? Like, that's so much value. That's like, because Dolidze looked like a world beater against Hermanson. And then Vettori, I went back and forth to where, like, when you start comparing resumes and bodies of work, it's like, well, fuck, Vettori should beat this guy. Like, this is a step down in competition for Vettori, theoretically, So it's like,
perhaps.
I went back and forth.
Perhaps.
Right? Like, that's what this was set up to find out. What level was the leads at?
So and I'm with you. This is the fight that I had the hardest time picking who I wanted to back on it because I kind of came to the consensus in my head of like, I got to figure out how this fight's going to go. And like, once I figure out like the way I most think it's going to go, who do I think wins it most of those times? And that's the guy I'm just going to like blindly back. I didn't even look at the odds on this. I really didn't. Like it, because this literally to me was like
money line was bigger than I thought it should be. First off, that's why it was so polarizing because the value is definitely on Dolidze at plus 210, but then Vegas telling you minus 250 on Vettori. It's like, man, they think this is kind of a lock.
See, to me, this felt like it was like a minus 125 plus 145 kind of a matchup, and I figured that would lean to Vettori for the name value for where what he's done before, and for being a good wrestler, which so is Dolidze, but that's going to make it kind of a more stand-up fight if they can both neutralize each other's wrestling, right? So then it comes down to striking, and then it's kind of a toss-up. But Vettori is super powerful. But so is Dolidze. So like they're kind of mirrors in that on the feet, in my opinion. So what it ended up coming down to in my head was that like I just thought Dolidze would be able to have more offensive clinch work and get more strikes off in an offensive clinch, and that neither guy would really be able to secure takedowns, and that neither guy would be able to essentially KO the other, because I thought that there would be enough, like, they wouldn't, like, just trade bombs. So I leaned to Dolidze. That was essentially how I saw it.
Yeah, and this fight essentially was a kickboxing match. There was
right,
very
it was
little
nothing.
clinching,
It was
wrestling.
nothing like I saw it at all, which was the point I was going to make there.
Yeah, but it was a war, and you're right to your what you're saying. Like they weren't going to stand there and throw bombs. That's pretty much what they did. No,
But yeah,
Vettori did. There's really Dolidze throwing bombs, and a word I never really thought I'd hear myself describing Vettori. Like Vettori was honestly like being the more technical man. Like usually they just switch roles. Like Vettori was.
Like he wasn't the
fought
brute.
a couple of high level guys. Like you can tell he's fought the Izzy's, the Robert Whitakers of the world, because his approach was very much more like heady, kind of steady as she goes. And then Dolidze fought how Vettori usually fights, which is just balls to the wall. Like I'm going to test my chin and throw bombs. Like,
yeah, which I mean gave us a super good fight, man. And like diving into it, how'd you score the first? Because as they had the clash of heads.
Which definitely Vettori got the worst of that. That
definitely
was essentially a
Vettori got the worst of that. But so I didn't count that as damage, right? Like in my score,
no,
I don't count that as damage, right? Because it's like illegal shot or accidental shot. I actually still scored it to Dolidze that round, just based on the last 90 seconds. He was able to land that one huge shot that rocked Vettori so hard, and then he kind of put it on him for the last 90 seconds. I was surprised Vettori survived as well as he did, to be quite honest.
Well, I'm never surprised at Vittori's chin. Neither of these guys' chin.
God, yeah, they
that's
both
why
have
this was set up to
crazy
be a heater. I also scored it for Vettori. I mean, for Dolidze. This round was a war. You know, Vettori was throwing a lot of leg kicks, and they were causing damage. Dolidze's leg was purple as fuck, so they were good leg kicks. And then he was throwing some straight punches that were landing. It's just Dolidze was just throwing bombs. It's kind of a quantity versus quality kind of debate. Dolidze and how Dolidze ended the round very strong, as you alluded to. Yeah, I saw it pretty similar to you. It was kind of like Dolidze bombs versus Vettori kind of technical
precise striking. And Vettori probably wins that without that last 90 seconds where he eats the one mega bomb.
Exactly. It was high risk, high reward strategy for Dolidze.
Oddly enough,
which Dolidze is. Sorry, real quick. Every time we see Dolidze fight, it's like a new guy's out there stylistic.
A different guy every time. I can't pick his style because he can fight every style. It makes no sense. He doesn't have a style. He fights all styles.
Like, remember we used to hate him because he was like snoozy clinch always.
Right.
And then Hermanson, he was like, I guess more clinch, but very active with the knees and elbows.
Yeah, and super active clinch work.
He fights like he's like Derek Lewis or like some
Justin
heavyweight.
Gaethje.
He's just like, Justin Gaethje. Just throwing hooks after hooks after hooks. Very little kicks, very little wrestling. Dolidze is going to be a tough guy to bet for me moving forward because, like I said, I don't know
what I'm going to get. I know it's going to be a quality approach no matter what because I think he's good at every style. But if he'd be smart enough to game plan his style approach, he'd be really good.
Or really like hone in on like, okay, what am I going to be the best in the world at? You know what I mean? He's kind of being like a jack of all trades at the moment. But yeah, so we both saw round one for Dolidze. We mentioned the clash of heads. Yeah, it's just kind of stylistically, what do you like more? But I do think in a round with really no control, grappling-wise or submission attempts or anything like that, you kind of got to go to damage. And I thought Dolidze got more damage off in round one. Now, round two.
Oh, wait. I just want to note, two judges agree with this. One judge scored this for Vettori.
I don't think that's egregious,
that
quite
judge
frankly.
happens to be the same guy that scored all three for Morales. I just want to let that be known.
Yeah, okay. Not building a great resume on the night for sure. Now, round two, man, keeping it pushing, essentially looked pretty similar, except for Vettori was getting out of the way of the bombs. I thought this was the easiest round to score, quite frankly, and I thought it was for Vettori 10-9. Like, I don't want to say easily, but like I said, round one, Dolidze only won because he was landed a couple bombs, and in round two, Vettori was able to avoid those bombs, made it essentially, how I saw it, easy to score 10-9 for Vettori.
I can see that for sure. I don't know that it was so easy for me. I do have the words close round here. I do have it for Vettori. But I thought Vettori, while he outlanded him and outstruck him, did not control the octagon at all. And Vettori, or Dolidze, was still landing those hard shots, just not as much.
I thought Vettori did a much better job defensively in round 2 as far as like...
Right. But with that, I would just say that I still thought it was a good round, like a close round. I didn't think it was like... it was... I could say that there was
in this fight, it was the least close round.
Yeah,
round
that's
1 and round
sure.
3 were...
That's
I
for
guess
sure.
all I'm
that's
trying
for
to
sure.
say.
I don't know that I would go as far as say it's clear, but it's close to clear, if that makes sense.
In the context of this fight, in the backdrop of like how tough 1 and 3 were to score, I thought it was the most clear. Maybe not the clearest, but the most clear. That we're splitting hairs here, but but we both gave it to Vettori at the end of the day, so we have it 19-19.
Yeah, and I honestly think that round 3 is another super close round.
Like, I thought round 3 was the closest
round.
round.
I thought razor close.
I thought it was the hardest to score. Like round 1 was more of a war. It was probably more like just balls to the wall, like Gaethje Chandler style action. But round 3, I thought was the hardest to score.
Vettori was landing those super nice leg kicks, man. Like I thought those were damaging in the third, like obviously damaging.
I thought so. In round 2, he started to avoid the bombs of Dolidze, right? But round 3, when he would avoid, he would counter. He did a much better job of countering in round 3 and kind of catching Dolidze as he would enter and come in, and and it really jumped off the screen to me. Like that's something that he built on as the fight went on. I think he kind of built on his defense and then added the offense onto the end of the defense with the counters. That being said, I gave round 3 to Dolidze.
I did too. As much good as I said for Vettori, Dolidze landed some nukes.
Yeah, and this is because the round was so close. You kind of do have to factor in who's moving forward, octagon control a little bit more. I'm not saying it's the end all be all.
He for sure was going for it, attacking. Like Vettori was on his back foot, throwing like. And that's the thing is he was throwing counter combos, but they're all off his back foot, moving backwards. So like they're not landing heavy. Dolidze was landing heavy.
Bombs. Yes, Dolidze was landing bombs. I think it's hard to say Vettori really did anything wrong. It's just when he would counter, Dolidze was able to eat it, and it wasn't able to keep Dolidze off him. I think Vettori thought, okay, I counter this guy hard, and clean a couple times, it'll kind of get some of this pressure off me. Maybe I'll even hurt him. And that just was never the case. Dolidze was just like undeterred from both like a damage point of view and like a pressure octagon control point of view. It was never, which brings the question up of Vettori's style of. But I said earlier, Dolidze is kind of a jack of all trades. That's really Vettori too. Like he really doesn't have finishing power.
Yeah, no,
he has good wrestling, but not against like elite guys. Like you know what I mean? Like he's able to use his wrestling on the Kevin Hollands of the world, but when he gets against these top flight bigger middleweights, he's not able to really wrestle, or he chooses not to. However you want to look at it, but
both these guys' best attribute is their chin, which is like a crazy thing to say, but that's because they're so well-rounded everywhere else that like their chin is the one thing that jumps off the screen to me. Nothing else jumps off the screen for Vettori or Dolidze other than like them being really well-rounded. But really, like the shots they can eat and keep moving forward are crazy.
So we've been pretty like kind to both guys so far, right? Like, right here, let's get to the scorecards real quick. My bad. So we both scored 29-28 Dolidze.
Oh yeah, this fight's a fucking robbery because of the 30-27. That's the only reason I put it robbery.
You're right. Because rounds 1 and definitely round 3 could go either way. So if you give Vettori round 2 and 3, like you're not a crazy person. Now
giving him round 1's kind of fucked up, and then everyone giving Vettori round 3 feels kind of wrong too.
Yeah, so every judge gave Vettori 3. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
And the judges that did score, and no judge scored it for Dolidze at all. I thought that was weird.
Yeah, that's what weirded me out was nobody had it for Dolidze, and that felt like a fight he probably won.
And the crowd was booing heavily.
Oh, the crowd was pissed, and I factored that into my thing too, because I was like, yeah, optically watching the fight, I thought Dolidze won too. And then scoring the fight, I still scored it for him, you know what I mean?
Because Vettori was like, all right, it's not that a guy can't win a decision moving backwards. That it can happen, and it does happen. But it has, I mean, damage has to accumulate. Like you think of like some like Max Holloway performances, some
Right.
Adesanya performances. Like by the end of the fight, guys are kind of busted up.
Conor McGregor.
Dolidze was,
He doesn't necessarily
yeah,
walk people down.
yes. So, but it's like when you're moving backwards and like you're never able to land that one huge counter. Like I don't think he ever wobbled or hurt really Dolidze. He definitely never knocked him down. I don't think he never took him down. So you're saying that he just like outpointed him, and that's fair but I think like Dolidze hurt Vettori more than Vettori hurt Dolidze on
That's
like
what I'm
multiple
saying.
occasions.
Yeah.
I was shocked. Like I said, I'm not going to throw out the robbery word, but I whenever this decision was read, when I was watching live, my jaw dropped. Like it actually dropped. I was like,
I'll tell you why I say
that
robbery. Because it felt like I got robbed of my bet on Dolidze. That's why I'm going to say it's a robbery. I literally got my money taken.
Yeah, my guy did bet the plus 210. I got to say, all right, controversial decision for sure. We both saw it the same way, and it was different than the judges. But something I want to ask you as far as Dolidze moving forward, I got to say, bro, and it could – I'll make my first statement. Dolidze looked very slow. Very, very, very slow.
Speed-wise, yes.
Was that actually that slow, or does anybody look slow if they only throw power hooks for 15 minutes? And I can't decide if it was like a game plan thing that made him look slow,
he doesn't,
or if he's just like physically slow.
Yeah, he doesn't throw straight punches. So like, I think they look slow because they're these big looping shots. I think if he was throwing down the middle, he'd look fast.
Also, he's a little bit slow. I think he's not
yeah. I don't think he has elite speed.
He's no Bobby Green. You know what I mean? He's no Bobby Green. And so I think that's tough to translate to the top end of middleweight. Okay. I really do.
Here's all I'm saying, though, is I think Dolidze versus like Strickland or Duplessis, I think those are great matchups where like those guys have great fights.
Dolidze Duplessis is a good fight. But I think that's more the level where he's at, though. I don't think he's top flight. And it's not – I think it's like, could he on any given night catch somebody? But it's almost like he doesn't know how he wants to win. So how are you going to get there? Like if you're going to – you know what I mean? He's so like willy-nilly, like, or like, it doesn't seem to be opponent, because some guys will fight differently based on the style of opponent. It seems like he's honestly closes his eyes. He has like all these little pieces of paper in a hat. One says throw bombs. One says clinch. One says wrestle.
One says shoot takedowns. Outside singles. Like we've seen it all. We've seen him literally do it all.
He closes his eyes. He's like, all right, this is going to be my game plan today. And it's just like, I think until he hones in on like what he's trying to like, I don't even want to say specialize in, but just like what do you hang your hat on? Like, who are you as a fighter? I think it's going to be tough for him to beat these top flight middleweights. And then as far as Vettori goes, it sucks. He's almost like what I think he's going to be like what Volkov is at heavyweight, like without a doubt top 6 guy in the world,
but never that title holder.
And we're going to get so annoyed of seeing him in Fight Night main events, and we're going to get so annoyed of seeing him on high on main cards, but he's never going to be bad enough to like fall out of that range.
Here's the one thing I'll say for Vettori. He's still pretty young. He could go to 205 and make some waves and be a top 5 205er, I think.
I think he needs to. It's the same thing we said whenever we said Whitaker needed to go to 205. Like they're kind of becoming – I think he's like Whitaker light, right? Like Whitaker obviously better than him. So,
not as good at striking, not as good at wrestling. Probably maybe better chin, but that's about it.
Yeah, especially once Hamzat comes to middleweight, which is coming. Like Vettori's just not that dude at middleweight. You're right. Maybe he's that guy at 205. I personally don't think so, but I feel you. It's something fresh. It's something
I think he's
new,
top 5, which he is at 185, but all these names are they're dry and old for him, and we kind of know how these look. Like, go to 205. Yeah. See if your speed is a little bit better than these 205 guys. And it's not like he's like undersized. He's fucking 6'3".
And he's also like he keeps talking about how I could out wrestle Pereira. It's like, dude, you didn't wrestle at all against Dolidze.
Yeah, like what are you talking about?
Yeah, like and Dolidze is a better wrestler than Pierre, and I get what he's saying, like from a broad stroke, like I could, if I'm going to have success against Pereira, that's where it's going to be. I'm going to have to wrestle him. But just to say, oh, I can just go take him down when you had 0 takedowns in your most recent fight, it's like, I don't know about that one. I think Pereira launches his head to Jupiter like in Ngannou style. And I think he's the guy to finish Vettori.
Oh, me too. Me too. I think
Yeah.
it's a straight left down the pipe and then a huge right.
But
Maybe a head
even a
kick.
guy
Who
like a
knows?
Hamzat, like I think Hamzat's problems for Vettori because like Vettori's so like fighting so steady as she goes. Like fights a 5-round pace. Even this was a 3-round fight, but he almost still fights a 5-round pace. Like he never just like throttles it. You know what I'm saying? And Hamzat,
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to be able to match like Hamzat's like intensity, like
Yeah.
Hamzat's like ferocity,
Right, like off,
tenacity.
like he's gonna get beat off the line and never be able to catch back up.
I agree, man. So it's like, I mean, this fight was awesome. It would have been a lot more awesome if Dolidze wins because then we have freshness. Now with Vettori winning, it's just going to be more of the same. Like, it is, and it's. I don't know if you do. Has Vettori and Cannonier fought? They're kind of the same guy at this.
Yeah, didn't Cannonier beat him?
No, I'm not seeing it. I'm on his. Unless it was a long time ago.
I'm thinking of someone else.
I thought they had fought too. My brain and my memory, I thought they had fought too, but no, it was Dolidze, Whitaker, Paul
Cannonier
Costa,
beat Strickland.
Adesanya. Yeah. So I mean, you could do Vettori, Cannonier because like they're kind of at the same like gridlock point.
You might as well.
Dolidze, I think we already said it, but like a Duplessis, like maybe like a Brendan Allen, like a I think he has to take like a step back in competition, honestly. A Sean Strickland, maybe you could do. Derek Brunson's probably retired, right? So
he put the gloves down last time. So
Here,
he was done,
see,
right?
It sucks because the only guy behind her Dolidze at this point is Hermanson. And I guess like there's Imavov and Brendan Allen behind that. Brendan Allen might make some sense.
Dolidze Costa would be sick, but Costa's never going to fight. He's a head case.
Yeah, and then Sean Strickland would fight anybody, and that would be a banger. I honestly like Sean Strickland in that matchup though, because of exactly what we saw Vettori.
Yeah, the down the pipe straight shots.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Yeah, so I don't know. Let's keep it pushing though, because this next fight's super meaningful too. Honestly, like a lead up and a narrative perspective, it's almost the same fight as Dolidze Vettori as far as like kind of stagnant vet versus
it's the exact same story, just a little further back at the moment, right?
Yeah,
so like
we got
this
Casey O'Neal.
This would literally be like Dolidze in the fight he was in last. Like this is Dolidze Hermanson, essentially. It's that same level where like if Casey O'Neal wins, she gets to go fight a top 5.
For sure, and Casey O'Neal, very interesting case study here because she's ranked 12, but she's undefeated and she's thought of very highly. So it's just like when Blanchfield was ranked 10, but kind of in a number 1 contenders match. Not quite to that level, but encroaching on that territory. Also, with the huge X factor that O'Neal's coming off a knee injury, hasn't fought in a year. So there's a huge X factor there. But she was on that same like Blanchfield-esque trajectory, Fioro-esque trajectory of this new wave
like
of
violent
flyweight
girl too. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like fights like in a style where she like can finish other women and is like a pretty brutal striker and good grappler. That's what she's thought of at least.
She's a minus 175 favorite coming into this one
win.
against. So did I. Against Jennifer Maia, plus 150, who was ranked 8 in the flyweight division. And I got to say, this was a tough, welcome back fight, especially for a young fighter like O'Neal. It's not like O'Neal's some former champ, some, big name. I don't want to say they should have given her a tune-up fight, but I don't know. Maia was a pretty tough fight to come back to, but I also wasn't saying that before Saturday. So
that's what I was going to say is I got to eat my crow in this fight, man, because I thought Casey O'Neal would be able to out-grapple her if Maia were to not necessarily out-grapple, but be able to be defensively safe, and I thought Maia could only win by getting on top and grappling in like a top position affair, and I thought O'Neal would outstrike her every day. And that is completely not the case.
Yeah, and it turns out Jennifer Maia's goddamn Canelo Alvarez.
It's insane, dude. Girl. Like her ability to stay defensively safe through footwork, head movement, and hand positioning, and then to fire back like counters, and then for her corner to be telling her in between rounds, like, yeah, keep doing that. It's exactly what we game plan for. Like, she's gonna walk you down, you're just gonna stay off center line and counter. I was like, well, fucking, god damn it.
And the extended combinations.
Dude, she would throw like 6 back after O'Neal would throw like a 1-2. She'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then be off the line and moving again. It was
it was going to the body, going to the head, and mixing in uppercut. It was like, it was insane. Like, it was some high level. Like, it didn't look like we were watching Jennifer Maia fight. It looked like we were watching like a Max Holloway of fucking. You know what I'm saying? It was like it was wild, and it was thoroughly entertaining. Even as I was eating dick on a parlay because of it, I was just like, my jaw was on the floor, but like in a good way. Like, we did just Jennifer Maia just ripping off 8-piece combos, like not once per round. It's like every time she would throw like between 5 and 8 punch combinations.
Yeah, let me see if I can have strike numbers here. Okay, so official strike numbers are actually pretty crazy, man. So it comes out to be 145 significant strikes for Maia, 137 for Casey O'Neal.
Yeah, but that's why it's stats like that make me glad that judges aren't privy to the stats, because eye test wise, like the shots O'Neal was landing were just not even comparable to the shots that Maia was landing. And it would be like, I feel like O'Neal landed a lot on the gloves and like glancing blows. And I don't know if O'Neal really landed flush once. And Maia was landing like 4 flush punches like per combo. So it was like just
O'Neal's best
all
round
strikes
was
are not created equal.
Well, and I think those numbers are helped by the third round, because I think O'Neal actually won the third round striking numbers by like 7 or 8. So if she loses by like, 7 total, that means she was behind 15 after 2 rounds, which that would make sense.
Yeah, and I don't know. To me, I test over stats on this one. Like, seriously, like, and you can say like certain people like that, certain people don't, but if you watch this, I mean, it was 30-27 Maia. Like, I don't have the word close anywhere in my notes. Like, this fight.
Oh, round 3 was close for sure. I gave it to O'Neal instead of 2 judges. It was definitely close.
See, bro, I don't know. As I was watching round 3, I mean, so Maia had the huge uppercuts at the start of the round. Like, I thought won the damage battle, like, pretty easily. Granted, most of the damage was done at the start of the round, but she still did more damage in the round. And then to end the round, she had the clinch control. So if Casey O'Neal had a little bit of success in the middle there, like, I don't think it outweighs Maia's work. Now, you say 2 judges agree with you, and like I guess I'm open to interpretation, but I got to be real. Like, I even think that was on the table. Like, I thought this fight like really wasn't like that competitive. Now the numbers and the judge, like, I feel you. Maybe I need to go back and rewatch it. Maybe it was closer than I thought. Maybe I was so impressed with how Maia looked so different that I got like caught up on it.
Yeah, because she started to get landed on in the third because her footwork started to slow down. She wasn't moving off center line after she'd throw the counters. She'd stand after her counters and watch them and started eating shots again.
Yeah, I just feel like nothing O'Neal was landing really was like jumping off the screen to me, or like really putting Maia in too much trouble. Like, she wasn't. I don't know. Like, I don't feel like she wasn't like really like. I mean, she wasn't cutting up Maia. She wasn't like Maia wasn't really getting any damage. Like,
yeah, but I'm saying outside of the uppercuts, Maia didn't do any other damage that whole round, whereas O'Neal was consistent for 4 minutes of it.
But O'Neal's consistency didn't even sniff those uppercuts, like, as far as like an impactful level, in my opinion. Like,
but it's like cumulative damage versus like 3 shots.
That's the thing. The damage like 30, wasn't really accumulating. It's not like she was like.
It was the first round she was actually landing punches. The first 2 rounds she really wasn't landing. So it's like, it's hard to accumulate damage like that you can see visibly like that at low weight divisions if you're only going to do it in the last round.
Fair. And like I said, so 2 judges agree with you, 29-28 Maia. 1 judge agrees with me, 30-27 Maia. So honestly,
I thought it was a super close round. Like, I'm not dying on any hill for it. And it's definitely a fight Maia won. And honestly, it might have been that she kind of, after she landed the uppercuts, was just coasting and knowing that she was up. I'm not even going to hate on her for that.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, Maia just, I don't know, bro. It was impressive as fuck. Now, O'Neal, in my opinion, and I rarely do this, but I'm going to give her a pass. That's a tough first fight back. I think she did need to kind of get her legs back under her. Any athlete out there that's ever had like a major injury or surgery, I mean, it'll fuck with your head. It'll fuck with your preparation. It'll fuck with your confidence.
She seemed humble on
And
Twitter,
also,
too, in her response, which I appreciated.
and Casey O'Neill was just like, I never really got to where she succeeds. You know, she's a top control kind of fighter, which all the credit in the world to Maia for, you know,
Her
not letting
footwork
it
was
get
just
there.
so good, man. Like, O'Neill could never get close and stay in range.
Like, she was like, I'm no boxing expert, but she was like actually moving like a boxer, not like, oh
Yeah.
she's throwing good punches in an MMA match. Like she would
be in tight,
counter,
like in the pocket, like
yeah,
countering, weaving, dodging, like dipping and coming up and around, and then
hands
off the
up,
line.
head moving.
It was really impressive. Like honestly, this fight is like a no dauber up or down for O'Neill, but so dauber up on Maia. Like really, the story here for me is that the story here for me is like Maia needs a top 5 girl like ASAP.
For sure, especially when you look at this. So the only people ranked above her, you got Lauren Murphy, who's essentially at 40 and trending downward real fast. You got Chikane. Yeah, you got Andrade, but what weight class she's fighting next in is always a mystery.
Yeah, no, Andrade said she's going to go to 25, right? Isn't that what she plans to do?
Well, this is 25, but I think she said she wants to go to 115.
Okay, I couldn't remember which one she said she wanted to go to. That's what I was.
That's what I'm saying. She floats, so you could make that match. Like, there's nothing wrong with giving her Andrade. I don't hate that matchup, but it's just so hard to pin Andrade, like pencil her in there. But I mean, what might make sense.
Santos Maia's not bad either.
Santos.
Okay, so we feel it together.
Because I'm pretty goddamn sure. So Shevchenko and Grasso are going to rematch.
Blanchfield-Fiorot has to be the next.
Blanchfield-Fiorot is the number 1 contenders match. Exactly.
And Santos isn't going to fight. I mean, maybe Andrade. That's a great matchup. But I could see a lot more work getting put in if you put Andrade versus like Chikane and Maia versus Santos. Like that's a way more fun thing for the division to have happen.
For sure. Real quick, I'm trying to, because that's another thing with Maia. She's been around so long that she's fought a lot of these girls already. I just want to make sure we're not overlap. Oh, so she already fought Fiorot and Chikane.
Yeah.
And Shevchenko. She got Chikane. So you can't have her fight Chikane. That's off the board.
Right.
Fiorot and Blanchfield need to fight. Yeah. Either Andrade
or Santos.
Santos.
And I think any of those 3 girls can fight each other, to be quite honest.
And Santos essentially, I imagine, is probably in the doghouse with the promotion. Like she pulled out of her last fight with Blanchfield. She's not really in the position to say no. So if they make her fight back against Maia, I don't hate it. But we can keep it pushing.
Yeah, for sure, man. Let's keep it pushing to welterweight here. We got Brian Bam Bam Barberena, who fan favorite, you know, plus 295 underdog against Gunnar what's a terrible nickname? Gunnar Nelson minus 360. Iceland's favorite jiu-jitsu taekwondo master. What a weird combo. It's weird to watch him fight. His style is definitely one of one. Or like Wonder Boy is very close, I guess, but Gunnar Nelson is actually better at jiu-jitsu than he is at kickboxing, but he has an only taekwondo approach on the feet. It's very odd to watch.
It is. It's very old school to watch, right? Like
he looks like it. Like he's like bouncing in like one leg forward, and it's just like hands down, like coming forward and back, and you're like, what is going on here? But he really wants a takedown. That's the crazy part.
It's like, I don't know, bro. It's like some people may consider this blasphemy, and maybe this is a cold take, but it's almost like he's not an MMA fighter. Like he really is the throwback of, I'm a taekwondo and a jiu-jitsu fighter.
Yeah, he doesn't do much else. In MMA. Like he's not going to wrestle. He's not going to in the pocket clinch and box.
These new guys grow up literally like they train MMA. They may not even have a belt in a traditional martial arts, but they've been training MMA their whole life. Like he's like the exact opposite.
He's like double black belt, and that's like what he does.
Yes, for sure. Which I'm not trying to really cast that in a negative light. Yeah.
Because if you're good enough at both, you can be that. You can be great, no doubt. But but he's still probably like a top 50 guy in the world in jiu-jitsu and like a maybe top 250 guy in the world in taekwondo. So it's like, I don't know. He's not even ranked obviously at welterweight. You know what I mean? Like let's not give him too much clout here.
No, for sure, man.
But
And we
fun
both
fighter
bet
to watch.
Barberena.
And
We
yeah,
both
that's
we
also
both
true.
love the value on Barberena.
I'm 0 for 2 on the main card so far. That trend's not stopping because when we get into this fight here, it's essentially that Barberena. I mean, bro, we know exactly what Gunnar Nelson's going to try to do, right? Like we know at home. Obviously, him and he and his gym and coaches should know. And exactly what you know Gunnar Nelson's going to do is what he does to Brian Barberena here. Gets the single leg, gets him down, gets into full mount, lands elbows, gets the arm bar, like fucking like triangle arm bar. It was just disgusting. And then, I mean, granted, if Brian Barberena had defended a little better, could have survived the round and maybe reset. We would have seen a different fight.
I know, bro. Like as a Barberena bettor, I was just hoping that this fight gets to the second round. They both start on their feet again, and maybe Gunnar Nelson starts to either question himself or starts to Barberena's able to start landing.
Maybe Barberena's a little sweatier, harder to grapple.
Yes, exactly. Oh God, I was praying to the MMA god
because it ends with what, 9 seconds left? Like what was the official finish?
4:51.
Yeah,
4:51.
I mean, that's so fucking tough as a guy that bets Barberena and knows that this is the way he'll lose if he loses.
Exactly, he knows that if they can get back to the feet, that the hope's still alive there.
And he's usually a smart fighter that makes good changes in his corner round to round, and so that he probably would have a better approach or just would go for it all out in the second round. And maybe tag him, and Gunnar Nelson's known to get tagged.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to chill out on like betting against the old guys for the sake of them being old, because that's been biting me in the ass lately. Because at no point did I really ever think like, oh, Brian Barberena is more skilled than Gunnar Nelson. But what I did bet is that
he's tougher.
Barberena has been way more active, like way. I think he's fought like 5 times since Gunnar Nelson's last fight. Gunnar Nelson is very clearly nearing retirement. He didn't announce it either before or after. I'm not saying he is retired, but I mean, there's no way he fights 4 more times, right? He may not fight 3 more times. So, I mean, getting there, right? So like, that's more what we were betting on.
But Sam's probably true for Barberena. Like, he's getting old too.
What's weird about Barberena? I think Barberena is like 32, but he just fights all the old guys and has been around a while and has been in wars. Like he's not that old.
That's fair. Like, I think the wars changed my view of him.
No, for sure. And he only fights old guys. Like it's weird. So we lump him in there with the old guys.
That's true, because when he fought Robbie Lawler, we were talking about him like, yeah, that's the young dog. But
Lawler, and then there was Matt Brown.
Yeah, he just gets the old dogs. What the hell?
Literally. They matchmake him very interestingly. So Gunnar Nelson, gets the first round armbar, like you said. And I was pretty impressed. Like he was dropping elbows, getting some damage off. I think the damage from the elbows is the reason why Barberena wasn't able to last out the last 9 seconds. Like I
think that's what gave, because he put his hands up like this to defend and immediately got his arm taken for the armbar. Like it was really nice by Gunnar Nelson. It just sucks that Brian Barberena couldn't survive for us as the bettors.
Yes, because round 2 maybe looks a little bit different. Yeah, it's hard not to let your imagination wander there. Now, I gotta say, it's the fact that Gunnar Nelson won. The same thing it's almost just like Vettori run. Like the wrong guys keep winning. Which, if you want to know if the UFC is not rigged, this is proof all you need. Because it would have been way more fun and give you way more options if either Dolidze or Barberena was to win. Because when Gunnar Nelson wins, okay, he openly said yeah, I'm still not going to be active. I'll fight again in a year, 18 months. He's not going to be active.
What's with that, by the way?
He's not chasing a belt. He never talks about a belt.
What does he do for money? I don't understand.
Well, he has a gym and he's a coach and stuff. He even said I pretty much like coaching more at this point. He's starting to talk in those kind of terms.
Probably a really good coach. I mean, he's Icelandic. That's the hardest language on earth to learn.
Oh wow. I don't know shit about Iceland, dude, at all. It's weird to think that place even exists.
But yeah, they have the most complex language system on earth.
Jesus.
So if you know that, I'm just saying you kind of innately are inspiring intelligence by making someone learn a language that difficult to learn as a child.
And
he's super smart,
proficient, right?
Yeah.
So I imagine he is a fantastic coach. So he's kind of transitioning into that coach world. But I'm just saying, what do you do next with Gunnar Nelson? Like, you kind of have no choice but to try to build somebody off him, right? But he's good enough to keep batting down the competitors. But you can't put him in like meaningful matches for the division because he'll hold up the division, and he's essentially not chasing a belt. So, like, I don't know what you do with a Gunnar Nelson next. I mean, and he's fought a bunch of people because he's been around so long.
You just give him. You got to give him old welterweights only, man.
You think? I think you do the opposite. I think you feed him young prospects.
All right, give him Michelle Pereira. Fuck it.
That maybe.
That's a fun fight, at least. Like, stylistically, that's a banger of a fight. And he's got to be closer to ranked than unranked.
You're right. You know who? I just thought of this. Who's that, like, Mexican guys at Morales? We had to pull out of his last fight. Michael Morales? Is that his name?
Yeah, but isn't he a lightweight?
I thought he was a welter.
Kevin Holland is super fun.
Yeah, Kevin Holland fights Ponzinibbio next week.
I know. So I'm just saying, he'll probably beat the fuck out of Ponzinibbio. Probably not finish him because Ponzinibbio is so goddamn tough, but that's a Holland decision all day. I'm going to bet the shit out of that. But
okay.
You like that, don't you? I'm just saying, because he'll probably make some dumbass agreement where no takedowns, so we're not going to submit each other, and then I think he outstrikes him. But anyway,
yeah.
No, I think Gunnar Nelson and Kevin Holland's a fun matchup. Like, it's got to be someone like that, like a Buckley maybe.
How about this, D-Rod? That's actually who.
D-Rod. There you go. Yeah,
he was supposed to fight D-Rod. D-Rod pulled out, and in comes Barberena with like 10 days notice. So
yeah, let's give him a welterweight. Let's just a little more well known. That's closer to ranked. That's what I'm saying. Is he needs to fight a guy that's like a top
level
20, like top 25 guy, not like a bottom 10 guy.
No, for sure. And let's keep it pushing here. We got Justin Gaethje versus Fiziev in the co-main event. Absolute heater of a matchup. Gaethje getting a tiny bit older at 34, coming in as a plus 195 dog, which was a little interesting. I mean, not that he was a dog, but that the number was that big. I got to admit.
I thought it got ballooned.
Yeah. People were definitely kind of counting out Gaethje.
Which I contributed to.
Oh, we both bet Fiziev. But
more so on like a Fiziev skill set made sense because he's so technical and Gaethje's so wild if he gets like punched hard that like the technical guy should probably win that matchup.
Yeah, my math on that was very simple. Gaethje's there to be hit, and there's not very many people in the world better at like hitting a target than Fiziev.
And dodging.
So I didn't even necessarily think that Gaethje was like washed or anything. I did think it was like stylistic matchup. Like, okay, this for sure is going to take place on the feet. Fiziev is essentially a kickboxing specialist. Like, I thought, and that's exactly what we got. We really didn't see anything wrong besides.
I think there's one takedown in the whole fight.
Yeah, but Gaethje shouldn't. No, we obviously saying Gaethje has a chin is like Captain Obvious times a million. But is it possible?
Is crazy too.
But this is a topic we usually don't get on until we get to our chin of the year and our yearly Prime Cuts Awards. But there's both types of chins were on display here. There's the type of chin that like literally doesn't even show damage, doesn't get damaged like at all. And then there's the chin you're beat to all fuck Darren Elkins style, but you're like just fine.
Literally moving the same. Like it didn't hinder your movements. We were still weaving in the pocket and like throwing bombs and like landing bombs. You were just trading bombs. Yeah, I don't know. Fiziev's going to be the more impressive chin, I think, when it's all said and done.
Yeah, let's get to it, man. Obviously, this fight's taking place in the lightweight division, number 3 versus number 6. Also, all respect in the world for Gaethje for taking this fight because lightweight is the ultimate good old boys club. It's the ultimate, like, stagnant, let's all rematch each other 30 fucking times type of the top 5 of that division. And it was so refreshing to see this matchup even take place. Like, I can't stress that enough because so there's two types of fans, really. There's the type of fan that loves that old guard that hangs on to the elite good old boys club and is down for, George Masvidal getting 80 title shots because they just
I
like him.
can't wait. This
Or
co-main and main have so many implications for the fucking world of fighting. You know what I'm saying? Like the lifestyle of how MMA is fought and lived.
guys like us who we live for the churn. That
Yeah,
over
the turnover,
the young versus
the new
old.
guard,
Yes.
the old guard. It's like the '90s NBA versus the early 2010s NBA. Like we want to see that change come to full fruition, where we see this bully ball turn into this magnificent 3-point outside shooting. But now it's going to come back, right? Like where now everyone shoots threes.
Yeah.
So now you got to be long and defend in length and wingspan and be more complete. Like it just helps complete the game more in phases.
And for sure, and that doesn't mean we only root for the young guys, but we love seeing the young guys get the opportunity. Make the old guard prove that they're the elite. You know what I mean?
And make the old guard prove that the old style is still the best style, or that can still beat the new style at least.
Because when an old guy beats a young up and comer, it's not like we have some kind of problem with it. But we just want to see those matchups take place. We don't want to see the same 5 guys fight each other for literally 5 years in a row. And that shit gets old. And so, like I said, just all the credit in the world to Gaethje for accepting this. And
if there's any lower end lightweight that he was going to fight, like Fiziev deserved it because that dude's a fucking dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 1,000%.
Like as much as Gamrot's a dog,
what he did to
dog,
RDA,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like Fiziev deserved this look.
For sure. And I mean, this fight from the jump was exactly what we wanted.
Fight of the year, right? Like, do we even need to short play that this is fight of the year so far, and it's not even close?
Hell, I'll tell you, 2024's fight of the year: Justin Gaethje versus X. It's just.
Every year I think he's won the last 2 years, right?
Michael, it was Chandler,
and then Poirier before that, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't fucking matter. The guy wins fight of the year every year. Might as well just say get Justin Gaethje versus X, like you just said, and that might be now coming in fucking October, November. Yeah. Like we might see him one more time this year, and who the fuck knows? But for now, it's got to be this fight.
1,000%. That being said, I gave round 1 to Fiziev, man. Like the volume of his combination.
The body shots with the head damage was really impressive to me in round 1.
Cormier was about to fucking cream his shorts.
He was busting. He was busting.
Yeah.
The speed. He literally in the second round was like, I think I've said it 20 times already, but I'm just gonna keep saying it. The speed is off the charts. My eyes can't keep up with it. Which that does tell you something.
One looked like the changing of the guard. It looked like the young guy was going to be too fast for the old guy, which is typically the story in these kind of matchups.
It looked like the electric car versus the gasoline engine. I'm just using that reference because Fiziev's going to come with that speed for 3 rounds, and it's not like he's pressing harder at the start. He really does run that. If you damage him, he'll slow down. But for Gaethje, he usually comes out with just momentous moments, but then we'll chill back and then huge strikes where Fiziev keeps that constant pressure.
Well, and then we also always talk about the narrative of how Gaethje's an All-American wrestler but never wrestles. He tried.
Fiziev was defending takedowns so well, dude.
Yeah, he tried, man. So, I mean, honestly, credit to Gaethje for trying to use the wrestling, but also wrestling is one of those things that I kind of believe is if you don't use it, you lose it. You know what I mean?
That's for sure true.
So that speaks to Vettori and Dolidze kind of applies to them too. They, it's not always there, if you're not using it. Which is why those Dagestani guys, they're gonna use it so it stays sharp. Now, so it sounds like you gave round 1 to Fiziev as well. How do you see round 2?
So
best round of the fight.
Oh, dude,
round 2.
Easily the best round of the fight. I think round 2 is where you get the actual debate of who wins this fight. Because I think 1 and 3 bookend it. Man, 2 I went so back and forth on. I didn't know. I said Gaethje when it was all said and done. And it was literally a coin flip decision for me. And I just thought that was because he started to crack Fiziev so hard a few different times.
Yeah, me too. I had very caveman logic for giving Gaethje round 2. He cut Fiziev twice. He was busting up Fiziev. It was kind of just I don't need to get to octagon control when one guy's bleeding a lot and the other guy's not. Call it oversimplification. I don't need like tertiary stats. Like it was just an old school eye test. This guy beat up the other guy
Yeah, like
more.
this guy just
Like
kind of cracked the fuck out of Fiziev, and like Fiziev's still tough, still firing back, and was landing some big shots on Gaethje. And honestly, the one thing that happened in round 2 that I think is kind of underslept or like not talked about is Fiziev continued to work the body, which I thought was going to pay big dividends in round 3 because Gaethje was really starting to headhunt towards rounds 2 and 3. However, all said and done, I did score it to Gaethje, so I do have it 19-19 after 2.
me too. And also one last little point. Like I think Gaethje was like, all right, well, I definitely don't have the speed advantage, but probably still have the power advantage. So, and Gaethje's chin was holding up. So I think Gaethje was like, essentially made the decision to like try to take out Fiziev, like really try to like really go for the finish and land some nukes. And I think that
By
in
the
round
way,
one, like I said, in round one, he was kind of still mixing in the wrestling, kind of trying to trade with them a little bit. I think in round 2, he was like, okay, this is if I make this a technical fight. And he started brawling more, which Gaethje, like, he's gonna do that at some point in the fight. But I think round 2, he really hit that switch.
okay, so I just want to bring this up too before we get into round 3. Not one judge, or I'm sorry, at no round did any judge fully agree on. They all had different scores for every round.
Wow.
As far as like there was not one round where every judge had like a 10-9 or a 10-8
Did,
or
did,
whatever.
so what are we looking at so far? First
Okay,
off, did any
perfect. I'm
judges
glad
give
you
round
asked.
1 to Gaethje?
I love that you asked. Yeah, Clemens Werner gave round 1 to Gaethje, which I think is kind of a little crazy.
Yeah, don't love that. Don't love that
Now,
at all.
now here's where it gets crazier. The other two gave it to Fiziev, right? Round 1. Like us, Mark Collette, Paul Sutherland, the guy that scored 30-27 Morales, this is going to come into play. That's why I say him. This guy fucking cannot score ever again, by the way. Paul Sutherland, he can never score again. I want to make that a super contingent point. Anyway, round 2, one judge, Justin Gaethje. 2 judges, Fiziev. One judge scored.
I mean, it was a war,
But the judge that scored 1 to Gaethje scored 2 to Fiziev. That's where you get me a little lost, because I thought it was kind of obvious Fiziev led in 1 and Gaethje led in 2.
yeah, don't
So to flip
know what
those
that guy was
scores, I
looking
don't
at.
know what you're looking at, because there's no grappling here, so we know it's striking damage or scoring. That's obvious.
Yeah,
So I don't know how
exactly.
you can conflate that. But anyway, that being said, after round 2, what we actually have is 2 judges 19-19 that actually completely their scorecards are flipped until round 3. And then you have 1 judge 2018 Fiziev. So in round 3, Fiziev literally just has to, by 1 judge's scorecard, can do whatever and like even get 10-8'd and still get a draw. On the others, it's a toss-up round. So really it was on Gaethje to win round 3. That being said, I thought Gaethje looked really good in round 3. I don't think it was a 10-8, but he was landing some fucking insane missiles. The uppercuts were unreal.
Well, and the jab. I even saw a couple of memes saying that like Justin Gaethje didn't discover what a jab was until like round 3 of this
And the
fight.
takedown, right? Didn't he get the takedown in
Yeah.
3?
Yeah, he did get it at the very end of the round 2 to kind of like really like
Just
that's
like
a good that
cement the
looks good to
round,
the
yeah.
judges. Yeah, for sure. So he was popping the jab. He the damage at this point on Fiziev's face was just getting insane. He got the takedown, but in no way was this a 10-8 because
Okay, I'm so
Fiziev-
glad you say that. Guess
So,
which
yeah,
judge
like-
scored this 10-8? The motherfucker that
Shit,
scored
McGee.
30-27 for Morales. And he scored the first 2 for Fiziev and then gave 10-8 Gaethje in the third. I fucking hate that judge. Paul Sutherland sucks, dude. Retire. You're terrible.
Because at the start of the round, Fiziev had like Gaethje hurt bad, like not just like hurt, like Gaethje
wobbled,
almost got
like
finished
about to be
at the start of
finished.
the round.
Like literally
Yeah.
was like on like stilt
So-
legs and then landed a big overhand and was back in it immediately.
Like, how can you say like by definition that the round like wasn't competitive or that like Fiziev got like just outclassed, like wasn't even relatively close when he almost won the fight in that round? The 10-8, and I like giving out 10-8s. I'm pretty liberal with my 10-8.
Me
Like,
too. I think that like giving them is not a problem. You know what I mean? Like it makes them way more interesting.
But
Fight.
how do you
This
give a
was not a
10-8
10-8
in like a war?
Well, where Fiziev is
And-
landing big shots. Like I can understand if Fiziev didn't put the shots back on Gaethje that he did in round 3, and you went 10-8 because Fiziev just got beat up. He didn't just get beat up. He was landing big shots still, just not to the level of what Gaethje was landing. I have no problem with Gaethje winning the round.
That was at the very end of the round. Like, it's not like Gaethje had like 4 minutes of top control, or like, there's no way you give that a 10-8. Yeah, no, that's out of line. No, that being said, I did give it to Gaethje 10-9, but the 10-8 is a little wild.
So we both agree 29-28 Gaethje. It comes out being a majority decision, 29-28 Gaethje. Now, if that judge is going to score 1 and 2 to Fiziev, which I don't have a problem with, then have it 29-28 because that's a 10-9 third. I don't give a fuck what anyone else has to say. That's a 10-9 third.
Yeah, so what? One judge gave 1 and 2 to Fiziev, and then Gaethje at 10-8 and 3. So literally just disagrees with this as much as humanly possible.
It's the guy that had Morales 30-27. Like, what else we got to say? Like, that guy does not know how to score fights.
No, yeah, that's a bizarre scorecard for sure. I do think the right man won.
Now,
this was the.
I want to ask you a quick question. Who's more of a warrior?
Out of these two guys?
Just on a human nature level, who do you think is more of a warrior? And I know that has nothing to do with fighting. I just would like to know your answer.
I'm gonna go Gaethje. I think I know where you're leaning. I think you're leaning Fiziev, and it just depends on like semantics and definition of warrior. But yeah, Gaethje. I'm gonna say Gaethje.
I'm gonna say Gaethje too, and I'm glad you said that because I was trying to bait you into saying Fiziev because that video that's on Instagram or whatever, that's him like laughing, looking at the camera, blood just like dripping down his face, and he's like, "This is good. We're born for this."
Yeah.
Like laughs at it. It's like that's like a psychopath thing to say. Now, that being said, why is Gaethje more of a warrior? Because he survived those shots and won the fight and has done it 10 times over now.
I was about to say, and everything you just said about Fiziev, he said he's done that like 6, 7, 8 times. You know what I mean? So it's
we just found out that Fiziev's ready to be on that. Like his mentality is that same level. Now, I will say that is what I learned about Fiziev, is that I'll never bet against him. It's like Gaethje. Like, this was a fight of guys you don't bet against. But essentially, you had to bet against one.
No, for sure, man. And then, so Gaethje called out Poirier. They've obviously fought once. But in the context of the division, makes a lot of sense because it's the only guy ranked above him that's not booked. Oliveira at 1 is fighting Dariush in May. Poirier is currently unbooked. But Poirier may very well be fighting Islam next.
Wait.
It would be super.
You're telling me we have the opportunity to run back a fight of the year, and we're not going to do it? Like, I think it's just obvious we have to do it.
Yeah, and then Makhachev takes on the winner of Dariush Oliveira. That's the tournament.
Yeah,
because you can't let Gaethje fight backwards again. The only other option on the table, hear me out, of Chandler McGregor, because then you get the fight of the year if Chandler wins, and McGregor Gaethje's fucking massive and awesome. So that's the only reason why
Gaethje's what I want. I will cream myself for that matchup.
That's one of those bucket list matchups that we want to see before those guys get too old and retire.
So good.
That's so good, right? So that's the only reason why, like, on paper, you can do Poirier and it's just fine. It's a big night of business. It's a number 1 contenders match. It checks a lot of boxes. But Gaethje McGregor,
it's so
once in a lifetime. Yeah. But that being said, that we're kind of operating under the assumption there that McGregor beats Chandler. But I think you can't go wrong there because if Gaethje Chandler 2 is everything we just said about Poirier, but maybe not for a number 1 contender. So I think it serves Gaethje's career better to just kind of accept the Poirier match, and then kind of guarantees him a title shot if he wins. Essentially, here's what I
would argue for Gaethje. Honestly, if I asked you now at the end of your career, if I asked you, this can be very different. So for Gaethje, I already know what his answer would be, but that's in a different phase of life. But for most guys, if I asked you, McGregor or number 1 contenders match, like, you beat McGregor, you're not guaranteed a title shot. Beat another guy, you're guaranteed a title shot. You're going to take that McGregor match every time.
Well, and
you know how much money that makes for your life?
Well, and it's not like Gaethje's never fought for a title, right? And it's not like he's never held a title. You could say it was interim, whatever.
Sure.
So, but he's checked those boxes. He's never checked the red panty night box.
Exactly. Get that
Yeah.
million plus dollars for a fight. Like, really see what seven figures in one night's like.
And so everybody, Chael talked about it. I thought it was pretty funny because we're guilty of this sometimes. He's like, everybody thinks they can beat Dana White because they can match make the winner. Match make the loser. That's where it gets hard. So what's
Oh,
next
sure.
for Fiziev?
Okay. Glad you asked, Mr. Chael. Fiziev gets a loser of Dariush Oliveira. Easy.
Ooh, love that. I also love Gamrot though. Like I feel you, not as big of a fight, not as like
I hate watching Gamrot fight. I'm like, I love wrestling, but that dude is so unsuccessful at ankle picks, but tries 40 ankle picks a fight. Like, I don't know how to feel. I'm just tired of the Gamrot shit because, like,
not a Gamrot guy. Okay,
bro, he just
fair
pushes
enough.
everyone to split decision because he like knows how to wrestle. Fuck, it sucks.
Sarukian out.
Sarukian Fiziev's great, but he hasn't Fiziev beat him.
Did he? I don't
Fiziev's
think
beaten
so.
one of these guys.
Fiziev.
Has he skipped both these guys?
Yeah, he went Moicano, Bobby Green, Brad Riddell, RDA.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
then Sarukian Fiziev must happen.
Fight night main event. Get Fiziev 5 rounds.
Easy.
Yeah.
Especially after seeing Fiziev's striking defense. Or, I'm sorry,
and takedown defense.
That's what I'm going to say. Takedown defense, yeah. Like, after seeing that, sure. Give it to me.
So, I honestly feel like if Dariush loses to Oliveira, he may retire. Because he's starting to like Dariush. Made this, I don't know if he's Dariush. If he because he said this shit to like he made a little video on social media with his wife. He's talking to his wife. He's like, "Yeah, honey, I think they want me to retire from old age before I get my title shot." He was joking, but every joke there's a little nugget of truth. And if he think about all the hoops he's had to jump through to get the number one contender shot against Oliveira. If he loses to Oliveira, Dana's going to make him fight 8 more times before and so I think he may just do some quick math in his head if he loses and be like, all right, well, I'm only in it for a title shot and I don't have enough years left to get another one because of all they made. I'm making a lot of assumptions here. How
old is Dariush?
He's only like 34, I want to say. I think Dariush is like 34. He's not that old.
He'll be 34 May 6th.
I think it's actually the date of his fight. He may fight on his birthday. I want to say they fight either May 6th or May 13th, something like that.
I guess, yeah, like, he has one more old man push in him, even if he were to lose this fight. But should he win this fight, he's in the prime of his career. He can make one more Twilight run.
Yeah. For sure.
But I see where his head's at. Like, I see what you're saying is that he's saying to himself, like, should I lose this fight, I have to make this crazy, like, another, like, 4 to 5 fight win streak, and it will be all the fights I have left in my career to make that run. So, essentially, they're asking me to either win this fight and get my title shot, or to fight my contracts, my years of fighting out, and be a title on my last fight, essentially, like be in a number one contenders if he still has that skill level, and should he lose, that's it. Almost like Lord Glover was at. It's like a Glover model.
And honestly, like, say Bilal Rakhmonov is true. Like, if Bilal loses to Rakhmonov, he's gonna have to fight for 20 more years.
All right, let's save that conversation because we do have the main event here, and a lot's gonna happen. If you want to introduce the odds, I'm gonna grab a White Claw for this because I think we got a lot to talk about here on this fight.
Yeah, for sure. No problem, man. So up next, we got the main event, the welterweight world title trilogy fight between Leon Rocky Edwards, 210 underdog as the champion, Juicy, taking on the 35-year-old Kamaru, as Chael would say, Kamaru Usman. It was the number 1 ranked contender, just lost the belt to Edwards in his last fight, minus 250 favorite. I really just got to the odds. Plus 210 Edwards, minus 250 Usman. Talking about how getting plus 210 on the champ is juicy. Also talking about how minus 250 Vegas is saying the head kick was a fluke.
Did you also mention 3-11 in immediate rematches for former title holders?
No, I'm super glad you brought that to the pod.
Because that was what I literally bet. I would have bet if you had to tell me to make one bet this week, it would have been Edwards. And I told Andrew Moakley that, and he won a lot of money on that. So good for him.
the only bet I won. I bet this operator straight, and then I had a parlay that involved a couple of the things that
You know
didn't
what
happen.
sucks?
But
Did you notice one of my parlays would have won had Usman won, but my straight wins if Leon wins. So I actually was going
yeah,
to win no matter what on the main, but I think I win way more with Usman winning.
yeah.
That
'Cause it was a
sucked. I don't even
parlay
know what the
that,
parlay win on that was, but it had to be all right.
yeah, it
Four
was. I
legger
think
that
it
was
was
going
like
to
30.
hit. Go, God
Yeah, I think it was
damn
gonna be
it!
like. I think it was gonna turn like 5 into 30 something, if I'm not mistaken.
God fucking damn it!
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so we both liked Rocky coming into this one, but like I said, mainly because that stat you talked about 3-11 in title rematches, and also, man, Usman at 35 years old. Everybody knows about Usman's knee problems. Also, just had the hand surgery not long ago. All the times
Also,
undefeated.
also coming into this fight, champions age 35 and older, 2-27.
Ooh, what good stats.
So like,
For
I
sure.
mean, if you're talking about 3-11, 2-27, and then you literally multiply those stats and like probabilities or odds or whatever your like mathematical style you want to approach that, it comes out to like he has like a not 90-1 shot. Like it is not good for Usman here, just based on like probabilities and odds.
Yeah, but also that shit gets weird too because it's almost like at the roulette table when they show you the previous numbers. Like that has dick to do with what's about the current spin.
Oh yeah,
You
hundred
know?
percent, 100%. But it does have to do with like general statistics applied to humans in fighting. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like the
yeah, for sure,
overarching
man.
theme of being old and defending a belt or trying to regain a belt is not
Yes,
a popular
it's not
outcome.
good for sure, man. And then let's get to the scoring of this because it's going to be super important and it is getting murky. And then we have a fuck ton of welterweight fallout to talk about. Which, oh man, I'm going 6 to midnight. I love talking welterweight matchmaking. It's probably the most fun division to matchmake. Uh, Round one, man, I had it 10-9 Rocky. That
Me
uppercut
too.
was huge.
Uppercut cleaned up Usman. I thought the leg kicks, the
The,
body kicks,
the
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 kicks were
body
huge.
kick
The
hurt
whole
Usman
fight,
too.
the kicks made a massive impact on my scorecard for Edwards. Massive.
Usman's body language and how he was responding to shots and how he would kept like
He
trying to
didn't.
talk to Herb Dean.
Yeah, did you
You're like there
notice he
was
was so concerned with talking to Herb and like the pain he was dealing with from the legal shots he was eating that he was like trying to over accentuate the slightly illegal shots he might have been taking?
I agree. I saw it the same way. I think there was a level of focus, a level of just not having a great time in there, you
He
know?
lost the champion's mentality. I think he got broke, man. I think the head kick broke him. I think he's old, and I think Leon Edwards got the
And he's
confidence
also
of a
rich.
champion.
Like he was just in the fucking Wakanda movie. Like, you know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Like he's in a
and
new.
Brendan Schaub. I mean, I don't know who he knows, but he probably knows some fighters, and he was saying that like apparently Usman in his inner circles has been talking about how he wants to go to fashion design and acting, and is kind of done with fighting. So all of
Yeah,
that being considered, this is like a guy that's mentally checking out if he can't win this fight.
and you kind of saw that manifest in this fight. Just little glimpses. Like I'm not saying he looked like dog shit or
I would
anything,
say
but there's
after round
little
three, you can
glimpses.
literally make the argument that it's a microcosm of how the fight plays out post round three for Usman's career after this.
And then also we got to talk about the first infraction, the first foul that takes place in
Oh, the
round one.
fouls on Leon are a
The,
big point here too. We
that
have to
may
address
matter a
those
lot. So Herb Dean sees Leon grab the inside of Usman's glove. I
to
think it
stop a
happened on
takedown to
your.
peel the hand.
And so that's where the ref starts getting heavily involved here. And I got to say, of course, we don't want refs heavily involved. I don't think Herb Dean was really overstepping his boundaries at any point. I think
I
Leon
thought
was
he did a
fouling
really
a
good
lot.
job, honestly. This is one of the fights where like I expected Herb Dean to fuck it up and like be overarching, overbearing, but like thought he did a pretty good job of being lenient when he needed to be and being harsh when he needed to be.
I agree. So no point deduction, but it does start kind of a contentious situation between Herb Dean and Leon Edwards. Like Leon Edwards is going to be under the microscope for the rest of this fight, rightfully so. I think both of those things that can be true. Like Herb
For
Dean was
sure.
on Edwards' ass, but Edwards was fucking fouling a lot
Also,
and was
scoring of
not
this
building
fight,
like.
man. Like I think you can score this a lot of different ways when it really comes down to it.
I don't think there's much controversy on how to score round one. I think it's
Round one, I think,
10-9
is a
Edwards.
clear Edwards round. I would fully agree with that.
Now round two is where the murk starts to creep in, at least in my scorecard.
Agreed. It gets a
How'd you see
little
round
more
two, brother?
hazy. I went to the champ. Being Leon Edwards, that's weird to say, fighting Usman. But
Oh, right?
yeah, it felt weird just a minute I said, I was like, yeah,
me
that's
too.
right. Um,
Yeah, I had to
I mean,
double
good for
check.
Leon, though. Good for Leon. He earned it. But yeah, I scored a 2. I once again thought the body kicks were doing good work. Usman's takedowns were he was still struggling to be able to find like an effective offensive game plan. I thought, now granted, Usman landed some good shots in round 2, right? Like, he looked better
Yeah.
than in round 1 for sure. That all being said, I still eked it out to Leon.
See, I gave it to Usman, man. Those big shots that you're alluding to, there was a moment there, and it was a fraction of a second, but there was a moment where Leon was eating like answered clinch uppercuts, and he
Yeah.
wasn't really like intelligently defending. Like there was like a split
Where he
nut
was
hair of a
like
second
you saw his
where
head
I was
like
like, "Is this
popping,
going
and
to
you're
be
like,
stopped?" Like it reminded me of a what was it, Duplessis versus Till, where he just like had him
yeah.
against the cage and just like punched and punched and
But Leon
punched
was
and
able to
punched.
duck out and circle out from there.
Agreed, but then, like I said, there was a fucking split second there where I was like, "Fuck, is Leon in trouble here?" And at no point to that point have Leon made Usman, I don't think, really feel that way.
Well, you're
There
not
was
crazy, but here's what I will say is that one
and
judge did score it that way. So, like, I think there's a clear-cut case for Usman here in round 2, and I'm not even going to deny that. I lean to Edwards
also,
slightly.
yeah, well, Edwards, the big knee, the knee he landed
Yes.
on Usman
Yeah, the knee in
was
the
huge.
when Usman, whenever he dodged in and then came up with the knee to meet him. Was this the round where
So
Leon ends it though by trying the flying knee and missing it and then eating a couple shots? Or is that round 3?
see, honestly, I don't know. I don't have it in my notes.
One of
It's
those,
escaping me.
yeah, I don't have in my notes either. It's either 2 or 3. He ended by trying a flying knee and eating like 2 hooks in response to it.
And
I was like,
also,
damn, that's a bad optic for the end of this round.
Kamaru does get a takedown in round 2. So I mean, Kamaru got the takedown, those big uppercuts, had some clinch control. Now, and then Edwards essentially had the one big knee, and it was big.
It was big. Like, that's what I went off
Real
of was
big.
the damage, and like
Real big.
the control didn't feel good for Usman. Didn't feel solid.
I agree with that. It was close. I had Usman eking it out. So first disagreement there. There was also a low shot to Kamaru Usman at the start of that round. So once again,
True.
referees getting involved
Well,
there. I
and
mean,
isn't
no
that,
point deduction yet.
Yeah, that's the round where there was another like maybe potential low blow that like grazed the cup that Usman protested for, which is what we were talking about, where like he was like kept checking to Herb Dean. That one looked clean to me. Which this is where it started to creep in my head, like, oh, Usman is like maybe he's not focused on like beating Leon.
Yeah.
He's trying to look for what Leon's doing wrong, like why he could lose. Like he's looking for an excuse.
I think that's fair. So I have it one round. I have it 19-19 going into 3, which is huge.
Yes. Well, so does Letheby. Chris Lee and Cartledge have it 20-18. Now these are all 3 Vegas judges, so all 3 very well respected. I do think round 2 is close. I think it's what you value there, right? And like position and time and control versus like damage, right? Because I think Leon maybe still wins the damage battle there, but you have to figure Usman's control of that round takes effect.
Yeah, for sure, man. But round 3 gets murky. So we've alluded to it. We've talked about it. Ref's been very involved, rightfully so. Leon Edwards is fouling a fuck ton, even as a guy who was betting on Edwards and was kind of rooting for Edwards.
That fence grab is egregious. Like, you must take a point every time for a fence grab of that nature. Like, literally, Usman has his back, like, has the tight waist, and tries to, like, suck him back to the floor to, like, drop him on his chest and pretty much have his back with Leon flat on his chest. If that happens, and Leon grabs the fence and is like, we're not going that way. Now, it could be argued Leon risks getting finished if he gets in that position. So maybe that fence grab is a smart thing for him.
It was the worst fence grab. Like, I couldn't
Both
believe
hands.
what
It
my
was
eyes
two
were
hands.
seeing.
It was 2 hands.
Because, like, it wasn't – usually they'll try to be slick with it, or, like, they'll be aware on which side the ref is and what they can get away with and blah, blah, blah. Edwards literally, like – or usually they'll have their fingers in the fence kind of stopping it from coming
threw
down.
His left hand to it. Like, his right hand was up on it, and he literally got sucked and, like, reached with his left hand.
It was like
no.
white-knuckled it, like eagle talon to the fence. Like all – like
you could see the whole fence come with him, essentially.
Yes. It was such a bad – that being said, deduction takes place. How do you score the round? Because I think this is the whole fight comes down to like what you do with this, pretty much.
So oddly, well, for you, perhaps I have this 2018, right? So like for me, I scored this round to Usman. I thought he got off his effective wrestling approach. I thought he mitigated the
Ooh.
damage. I thought that, and honestly, man, that foul. Maybe this is like because I had a few drinks. That foul was so fucking egregious that I was like upset about it. And I was like, Leon Edwards cannot win this round. So maybe that takes a
See,
part in it.
I tried hard not to do that. I ended up going 9-9 Edwards. He got another huge knee.
One judge does have the 9-9 in here.
Really, round 3 looked a lot like round 1 with the leg and body kicks. Like we love the leg and body kicks in round 1, but not in round 3. And then you add the big knee onto those leg and body kicks. I like Leon's work in 3. Now you minus to the point, so I have a 9-9. Really, no winner, but it's really I had Edwards winning the round. Was a close round. I got to admit, it was another one of those. And my eye test was a little bit like different last night, I guess, but. This was a round that I felt pretty good about giving 9-9 to Edwards. I thought, I did think some judge out there would give it to Usman because of the point deduction. And some people straight up don't like giving rounds to the guy with the point deduction.
2 of the judges did give it to Usman.
I know. Yeah. So that's, like I said, but when I was watching it live, the thought really, like, I didn't struggle to score it. Like, the thought didn't really enter my mind.
I thought the tenacity on Usman's wrestling approach, I thought he was able to mitigate not leg kicks, but I'm sorry, kicks to the body. Like, there was a lot of things he wasn't eating that he did eat in rounds 1, 2, 4, and 5 that in round 3 didn't happen. So for a lot of those things that were missing from Leon's offensive attack, I thought that was due to Usman, like, putting the fight where he wanted it to be, and then being successful, and then Leon cheating to stop his success. So maybe that narrative right there tells you.
We're being hypocrites here because we pretty much scored round 3 the opposite of what we scored round 2 for the opposite reason.
I agree with you.
Like you liked the knee in round 2 and gave it to Edwards. I liked the knee in round 3 and gave it to no. Yeah, you gave Edwards round 2 largely because of the knee. I gave Edwards round 3 largely because of the knee.
You know what's crazy though? We both have 28-28 after 3 rounds.
With vastly different routes to get there, different means to the same.
But that
end.
just shows you this fight is essentially even through 3 rounds when you take the point off.
Fair. Now, that being said, I think it's important to note, you said even after 3. I thought round 4 and 5 were
rather clear. 4's a little murky. 4's a little murky because Leon's striking isn't as effective in round 4 because Usman's starting to be able to read it, counter it, and I don't think he's landing with near as much power in round 4. Leon is. A lot of leg kicks, a lot of body kicks.
Yeah, and just activity rate, right? He was just out striking Usman, and he was keeping it on the feet.
That's
Usman's
where I think
takedowns were looking kind of like Usman's takedowns at 4 and 5 weren't close.
That's the visual optic that breaks round 4. Is Usman's takedowns look like they're dog shit. Like he's broken. Like they're not even close. You know what I mean?
So like, is Leon dog walking him or beating the shit out of him? No, but he kept it striking without expending a ton of energy or spending time in the clinch, and then he continued to outstrike him. Now, was it devastating or mind-blowing or Gaethje-esque? No, but the kicks, the jabs, the volume, standing. I thought round 4, you're right, a little bit competitive, like not a landslide, not an ass whooping, but Edwards won 4. Like,
all right,
I feel confident.
So let me ask you this. The judge that did give the 9-9 scored round 4 to Usman, but did not score round 2 to him.
I just don't think, what did Usman do? I mean, you're right, he countered him a couple of times, but he got outworked on the feet and he got his takedown stuff. I just don't
I agree with you. I think Leon won the 4th. I think 4 and 5, like championship rounds, I thought Leon kind of proved he was the better fighter.
Me too.
And I thought 5 was all Leon. It's a round all the judges agree on.
Another head kick. Now, it doesn't land perfectly.
Doesn't land perfectly,
but heard around the world.
But Usman ate it pretty goddamn hard. Like, it was a fucking hard head kick.
And it was fun. Like, it was fun as a fan to see Leon have that head kick waiting for the 5th round just to see if he could capture lightning in a bottle twice. Like, It was fun to see him go for it, right? Like,
literally,
almost like a special move in a video game. Like, he let his special meter build, and then he fucking
hadn't thrown it really the whole maybe through one in the second, maybe, but other than that, I don't.
Yeah, he was
any
not
other
throwing
head
a lot of head kicks. which may have been a mistake. Like he maybe should have like
Yeah,
spammed more
because
head
the
kicks.
effectiveness of the second one, it's like, well, by number 5, like maybe you're connecting that one.
I think he was trying to like keep it in his back pocket, like element of surprise, when he should have just used it as like part of his game plan.
Yeah, like keep distance, keep him off of you, like keep the thing he's afraid of, backing him into a corner.
Exactly, because that's going to be making him like second guess himself. Like, okay, you block 1, you block 2, you block 3 every time. His fucking butthole is puckering more.
Yeah, like
and
I
more.
gotta block these. I gotta block these. Like this is the shot that puts me the fuck to sleep.
Which is going to open up the body, which is going to open up the legs, which may even open up a takedown for Leon if he wants it, if he's using more head kicks.
All said and done, we both score this 48-46, correct? We get there by different means.
Yes. Yep.
Oddly enough, the two judges that have 48-46 disagree with you. Chris Lee agrees with me. Ben Cartledge agrees with neither of us. And one guy, David Letheby, has it 47-47 after giving Usman 2 and the 10-8-3. Now, I don't have a problem with any of these scorecards, but that just shows you that it was a close fight.
Yeah, it was weird. So,
but this is a changing of the guard. This is a changing of the guard. I want to make that apparent. Usman will never recapture this belt.
And that's not even saying that Leon holds it. Like even
it doesn't matter who holds it after this.
Hamzat
Usman is done. He's a shell of a man now.
I agree. That's pretty harsh terms.
That's harsh terms, but like if you're not gonna fight for belts and you're gonna be a top 5, you might as well be a shell of your former champion self. We saw Woodley. I mean, all the welterweight champions, bro. It happens.
Is Circle of Life? Is he the new Woodley? Circle of Life.
He literally is. Now? He literally is Woodley. Like, is this not what happened with Usman Woodley? Like, Usman beat Woodley in a close match, and then Berserk dominated him in the second one. This is just a slightly lesser degree of that exact thing.
All right, so now we got to talk Fallout, and this is going to be so fucking fun to talk about. You got to talk Fallout. So fight, Dana. First off, Colby's there. Colby weighs in as the backup fighter. He's there in the crowd. We all see the direction that this is heading. They're trying to prop up Colby for the next title
weighed
shot.
In too, by the way.
What?
They had him come weigh in. Someone put a video of Masvidal weighing in. Yeah, because I guess him and Colby were going to fight if no one fell out, and then Colby said, "I'm not going to fight Masvidal."
What? I didn't know any of that. So then after the fight, post-fight press conference, Dana White announces like Colby gets the next title shot regardless of what happens next. And I see both sides. I personally hate that Colby gets rewarded for the inactivity. And Leon agrees with me.
Oh,
Leon
no.
Says
that's not what he's getting rewarded for. I can explain this whole situation to you very quickly, easily.
Yeah.
And you know it too. I don't need to explain it to you, but for the people at home.
Go ahead, for the viewers. Yeah.
So essentially, Masvidal is suing, Colby Covington's suing Masvidal in a huge lawsuit that makes neither of them able to fight for the entirety of the lawsuit because Colby Covington's claiming brain damage from Masvidal's. And also, we do have to say, Masvidal, man, you can't be jumping people in the street. Now, I know what Colby did is fucked up and wrong, but like in the legality of America, like clearly Masvidal is wrong and deserves to pay a price. Now, to me, it looks like the UFC came to him and was like, look, man, we can't have Masvidal fight Burns unless you drop this shit, and you can't fight until you drop it. So if you'll just drop it, you can just have the next title shot. You'll make more money on your title shot, and if you get that belt, you'll make more money than if you win the case against Masvidal. And that, to me, is essentially what's happening here, is they guaranteed him a title shot for dropping the case.
Yeah, for sure. And Dana rarely does that stuff like that.
And how often does Dana, after a fight, immediately, and I can answer the question I'm going to ask already, how often does he ever tell you who's going to fight next for the belt? Never. He always says, I don't make matchups right after fights. Yep, well, he already had a predetermined matchup made. So, like, it already tells you there's a deal in the pocket.
Agreed. Now, what makes this interesting, and I guess time and dollar signs may change his tune a little bit, but Leon's flat out come out and said that he will not fight Colby next. He won't sign the contract. Colby doesn't deserve it. Colby's been out for a year. Colby needs to get a win first. Leon, and I agree in principle with everything Leon said. If I was matchmaker for a day, I would agree with Leon. I would give the next title shot to Bilal. I would.
Well, okay. What I think is fair and right is Bilal fighting for the title, right? Like, I think that's...
Bilal is Dariush. Bilal and Dariush are the same guy.
Like, like, this poor guy gets shit on so fucking hard, man. And why? Like, because he fights everyone you want? Because he shows up on UFC Fight Night, like, your table to break down fights? Like, the dude gets fucked. Like, he's clearly a company man and is just, like, taking punishment, but for what? Like, it sucks for Bilal. Hamzat's not a welterweight. I mean...
not a welterweight.
Yeah, Leon Edwards is out there saying, like, yeah, Colby Covington's sitting there waiting for a shot. Bro, what the fuck did Edwards do? It's the exact same shit. Like, for Edwards to call out Colby Covington, that's cap. Anyone else in the world can call out Covington, but not Edwards. Because what did he do? He poked Bilal in the eye and got a win for that fight, and then refused to fight anyone else unless it was Usman. For 3 years, he fought one fight that wasn't, like... Obviously, beat the shit out of Nate Diaz. That's the one fight. And then you could say 2 fights because he did go through the camp, fought Bilal, but that's a DQ. So he has literal one fight since 2019 that's not Usman. So how is that not Colby?
I agree. I think that Leon... You're not wrong.
Lost to Usman and campaigned for it that he deserved a rematch? That's the same shit Colby did the last time.
I'll say this. It's not so much, but see, I think I agree with what you said about Leon doing exactly what he's accusing Colby of and the hypocrisy there. I completely agree. Don't even have a counterpoint. I just don't think that's what this is about. I think that's kind of...
That's not what this is about. I'm just saying for Leon's response to me, it can't be Colby, is like, bro, like, you did that exact same thing. Like, for you to tell the world he's wrong for doing that, like, you did that shit. Black. Yeah, exactly. So, like, for him to tell us that he gets to pick his fight, fuck you. You don't get to pick your fight.
Oh, I feel like you kind of do, though. Like, you beat Usman twice in a row.
Here's the problem, too.
He was pound for pound number 1 when he beat him the first time.
That's true. And it was 5 when he beat him this time, and now Usman's still, like, 8 or 9. And Edwards is, like, up to, like, 4 or 5. So I get it. But I'm just saying that, like... And I guess the Masvidal thing sells so fucking well because the 3-piece and a soda shit backstage. But if Masvidal loses to Burns, this isn't even a conversation.
Yeah.
And he will lose to Burns. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that.
And it sucks because if it's not Colby, he wants it to be Masvidal. So Bilal's still getting left out in the dark. And really the thing that adds the really salt on the wound here is that Dana said that Bilal gets Shavkat next.
Oh, yeah, that's... Okay, I'm glad you bring that up.
Literally a punishment.
That's
like,
the
that's
fuckery.
Actually a punishment.
It's like, why does he have to fight Shavkat? Like, that's fucked up, man.
And I guess if you look at it, the only people ranked above Shavkat are Burns, Muhammad, Shemaev, who's not really a welterweight, and Colby, and Kamaru. So you either got to give Shavkat...
Colby Bilal makes way more sense.
Colby Bilal makes sense. And then do you do Shavkat Usman?
That's awesome.
And then that actually... Because Usman's lost 2 in a row. You can argue it's to the world champ, whatever. But you can't punish Bilal for winning 8 in a row. And like punishing Usman for losing 2 in a row makes more sense to me than giving Shavkat to Bilal for winning 8 in a row. Now, you could argue, oh, well, that's not a punishment. That's a guaranteed number 1 contenders match for Bilal. Okay, if you want to spin it that way. But like, there's even a scenario, say Bilal beats Shavkat. There's still a scenario where Burns leapfrogs him. Like, there's still scenarios where he gets fucked here.
All right, well, let me ask you this, too. Burns is the minus 450 favorite over Masvidal. As the champion of a division... Why on earth would you call it the underdog that's ranked number 6 underdog?
Oh, it's bullshit. And he's trying to use the personal story, but it's bullshit.
I don't give a fuck about
that's
that.
Hypocritical thing that Leon Edwards is doing right now is because part of his argument against Colby is like resume based, and then you're gonna call out Masvidal, who has a worse.
The resume is not even there. Like, the only people you can call out, essentially, is Burns if he wins, or, like, Shavkat if he wins his next matchup, or Colby because he just sits there at 2.
Yeah. So, in a weird way, I'm talking out of both sides of my neck because, like, theoretically, like, competition-wise, I don't believe Colby should get the title shot. But out of all those fights listed, that's the fight that I think I'm looking forward to the most.
I
So
agree
fuck
with
it.
you.
Like I'll be a
100%
hypocrite
agree.
right there with Leon. Like that fight's fucking awesome. The shit talk, the hype's gonna be awesome. The fight itself is gonna be awesome because he's kind of, I mean, similar style to Usman, but like younger with better cardio and better knees.
100%.
And gonna throw volume at him that Leon's never had to face before, like from a
Right.
striking perspective, that Kamaru never presented. Now doesn't have the threatening power that Usman had, but
That might not
Leon
be the
was
thing you
able
got
to
to
eat
worry about,
Usman's
right?
power.
Because
Yeah,
Leon's so good on his feet that, like, really striking power is kind of the question. It's more striking accuracy.
and then Leon like has good cardio, but not great cardio. Colby for
Right.
sure has great cardio.
Colby has, yeah.
Leon's also going to have a big size advantage over Colby, but that's always the case. Like pretty much everybody Colby's ever fought's been theoretically bigger than him. I know they weigh in at the same, but you get where I'm saying there. Yeah, it sucks because I'm like it's the classic kind of theoretical debate of like in practice versus in theory. In theory, it should be Bilal, Leon for sure, like bracket wise, all that. But in practice, I don't, and it's not just business. It's like I think Colby is more likely to take the belt than Bilal is.
I could see that.
Than Bilal, that's the thing that we can't like leave out of this argument. And can I prove that? Not necessarily, but I think most of us feel that way.
I think that's true.
I think it's true. Like objectively, like do we wish it wasn't true, or do we like? Am I down to make the on paper argument for Bilal? For sure. But as far as like finding out who the best welterweight on earth is, God damn it, I think we got to throw Colby in there.
Yeah, he's that guy that never escapes the conversation for best on earth, but never has attained the title. You know what I mean? Like that's Colby. Like he's literally the guy that plagues you your whole life.
And then the only thing that sucks is, all right, so say Bilal beats Shavkat, Colby beats Leon. Leon probably gets a rematch, and they do Leon Colby too.
Yeah, Bilal's still
just,
waiting. Like Bilal doesn't get a title shot till 2024 late.
That's what it sucks, though. That's what makes me want to just give it to him now. Because if Bilal fights Leon and loses, all right, we can just move on.
Yeah, we can just do the Colby
there's
shit.
no
Like,
rematch. Colby's waiting right there. Maybe you do Colby Shavkat, and either way, it's a win-win. Because if Colby beats Shavkat, okay, for sure, number one contender. If Shavkat beats Colby, we're talking superstar here. Like maybe jumps Chimaev as far as star power.
Right.
And that's off to the races there. I think the only thing that's going to suck is because I'm honestly down to give Colby the title shot. I know I'm talking out of both sides of my neck here, but there's the in theory versus the in practice. In practice, I'm down to give Colby the title shot. But if Colby wins and we get stuck with Leon Colby too, that's going to fucking kind of suck.
Yeah, I'm not going to be
not suck for us to watch, but suck for like
for Bilal, man. Like
and we get into like a lightweight situation where there's a good old boys club just rematching each other. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I don't want to like. Bilal is kind of in the Fiziev position here where somebody has to like extend that ladder down to him. And we keep talking about the history between Leon and Masvidal. There's history between Bilal and Leon. They have unfinished business, like quite literally, like quite actually, they have unfinished business. So, I don't know, dude.
Yeah, no, I agree, but shit, we'll keep it pushing to next week. Obviously,
yes,
we got Chito Vera versus Corey Sandhagen. If you're gonna make any bets here, I think it's Sandhagen decision or Chito Vera over.
Yeah, see, like I'm really torn here because you're giving me plus money on Chito, which is so tempting. But I honestly do think it's a coin flip, so I'm just going to go at the value. Like I don't think Sandhagen's that much better than Chito, and I definitely don't think Chito's that much better than Sandhagen. Either guy could win, so I'm just going to try to make the most money possible. Like Chito, like was it plus 145,
plus
something in that range.
So
that means money's coming in on Cheeto. I think it was.
So I'm going to take Sandhagen Because it's not that
Sandhagen
much to
by
lose
decision.
I'm probably decision plus 120. So you still make money on just taking him in a decision.
Yeah, for sure. Tough one to bet. Tough one to bet, bro.
Yeah.
Appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, always, brother. We'll see you guys next week for the breakdown of UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen, Cheeto, Vera.
Subscribe so you know when that video drops. Appreciate y'all. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. We'll